Namaskar and welcome back to Media Scan, your weekend dose of headlines, controversies and perspectives. In the biggest news break of the week, Congress leader Rahul Gandhi was disqualified from his Lok Sabha membership following his conviction in a defamation case in Surat. What does this mean for the future of Mr. Rahul Gandhi's politics, for the Congress party's leadership, and will this conviction lead to a cleaner discourse in the political field? Let's discuss. Joining me today, a power-packed panel. I have here with me Sumit Nagpal, former journalist and now a well-known lawyer of the city. Welcome to Media Scan.
Thank you.
Also joining me, well-known author, also a lawyer and an RSS ideologue, Desh Ratan Nigam. Welcome back, sir. And I have here with me Aditi Tandon, a senior journalist who has been a keen Congress and UPA watcher for a long time. You have been listening to her on Media Scan on earlier episodes. Welcome back, Aditi. And I shall come straight to Sumit Nagpal. Mr. Nagpal, two things very clearly that have been raised by the Congress party spokespersons who are also great legal eagles of the country. They are saying that this conviction is so unsustainable that if it goes to a higher court, it will be set aside in a minute. Also, the question about the imminent disqualification of the Congress leader. Your take before I come to the political questions.
See, as far as this case is concerned, I can only say this, that if it was such a weak case, at the stage of trial, you could have gone to the High Court for quashing of the criminal proceedings. You could have very well gone to the High Court and said that this is not a case in which criminal proceedings can continue. But the Congress party, and in particular Mr. Rahul Gandhi, I don't know who was advising him as far as the legal proceedings were concerned. I am very surprised the way this case has been dealt. This case could have been finished if you had gone to the court and said that I was talking about not all the Modis, but only few particular Modis.
No, that is a post facto thing. So
Yes.
The question here is the Congress party's argument that when he talked of the word Modi, it was Mr. Purnesh Modi, who is the petitioner in the case, did not have a case at all because he has not really been defamed in any manner.
See, the point is that when you make a generalized statement like that, in that case the cause of action lies with every person who can feel that I am the aggrieved person. If you give a general statement that all Modis are dishonest, then a person who is a Modi may face a situation where his colleagues, his acquaintances or some friends may make fun of him. So every person who is the aggrieved...
It depends on what the person may be feeling.
Yes.
In what manner he or she takes the statement.
The important point here is whether a person is the aggrieved person or not.
Right.
And the law is very much clear about it. Section 499 have special provisions when it comes to companies, association of persons or group of individuals. So if you are tarnishing the image of one caste, one community, and the person who is feeling I would say that if that person is feeling that I am the aggrieved person, my image has been defamed, then that person has the cause of action and he can go to the court.
And of course the court has, in its wisdom, the court has agreed that Mr. Purnesh Modi did have a case for defamation. But Sumit Nagpal, very quickly on this question of disqualification, whether Mr. Rahul Gandhi is in a position to go to Parliament on Monday or not, is he already disqualified, or does the suspension of the sentence for 30 days, as we have read, allow him to not disqualify or not be disqualified till such time?
See,
Quickly.
The Supreme Court judgment is very much clear that in Lily Thomas judgment in 2013, the court had very categorically said that the moment you are convicted, the disqualification comes in. And saying this, that a person has got like 30 days to appeal, then why was the need to quash this particular section 8 and subsection 4 of Representation of People's Act?
3 and 4.
That section particularly gave the window of opportunity for a person who has been convicted to go in appeal.
Yes.
So what was the point of quashing that particular section, saying that today you are saying that we have got the window of opportunity to go and appeal.
Right, understood.
So what was the point
let
there
me,
at
let
that
me
time?
also get an opinion from Deshratan Nigam and our other panelists. Mr. Nigam, first of all, this question of the representation of People's Act 8(3) and also 4, the question that there is actually no window about the disqualification. The moment a conviction comes, the person stands disqualified. Do you agree with that? Or is there any window of opportunity for Mr. Rahul Gandhi other than getting a stay from an appellate court? And also the question about, as raised by Mr. Singhvi, that the question of defamation did not apply to Purnesh Modi, and the case will not stand even a minute if it goes to the higher court.
Well, let me first answer Mr. Singhvi. Mr. Singhvi guided Rahul Gandhi ji in the Rafale defamation, contempt of court case. And he was beating around the bush when the court came very heavily down on him and asked that we don't want any ambiguous apology. We want a clear, unconditional apology from Mr. Rahul Gandhi. And unless that happens, we'll take this contempt of court case further. And then Mr. Rahul Gandhi had to give unconditional apology on that subject in the court. And that's a part of record. So let's not beat around the bush. And when Mr. Singhvi replies, it's more of a political answer rather than, a legal answer, because he's a politician too. And when he speaks in the court, which is different, and when he speaks on political platforms, that's a different thing altogether. And secondly, as Mr. Nagpal clearly pointed out, Lily Thomas's case, and then you have to also look at Lok Prahari case of 2018, which is a later case. If you read the two of them together, then the clear conclusion is that as soon as the conviction comes in defamation case, there is an automatic disqualification.
Okay.
And once that happens, the copy has to be received by the Lok Sabha Secretariat, not whether it is received by Rahul Gandhi or Mr. Purnesh Modi or not, it is immaterial. The moment they receive it, they will take further action to it, and they will have to inform the speaker. So there is an automatic qualification. Yes, there is a suspension of sentence by the court so that for next 30 days he can take appropriate steps of appeal. However, that the very same court has not suspended the conviction. There are two things. Sentence has been suspended, not the conviction. So he has to go to the appellate court and take that,
So Rahul Gandhi may have been given a window of suspension to go to the appellate court, but he still stands convicted till such time as any other court stays the conviction.
And further, suppose he is disqualified right now, immediately, automatically, and the court stays that conviction, then he automatically gets restored in the Lok Sabha. His disqualification will then be subject to outcome of that appeal.
As it happened in the case of the Lakshadweep MP. But Mr.
Exactly.
Nigam, you are also a political analyst. So very quickly, sir, I have one question which has been raised not only by the Congress party, which of course is the aggrieved side at the moment, but various other politicians and commentators. They are saying it is nothing new for politicians, political persons to make remarks in order to put their rivals in a bad light. This has been the sort of culture in the political discourse for a long time. And if people were to rush to court on everything that is being said, then it becomes really difficult. And the charge is that BJP is nitpicking, clutching at straws to somehow silence Rahul Gandhi, because he is challenging Narendra Modi's leadership and the BJP's brand of politics.
Smriti ji, the real question is how all this started. It was not the BJP who started it. When you malign the entire Modi community and you are supposed to be a responsible leader, then obviously any Modi who will feel aggrieved will go to the court, because this is how the rule of law functions. And once you malign them, attack the reputation of a person, then the cause of action has already arisen. And secondly, if anybody who has read Lily Thomas's case, which clearly says that the reputation is a part of right to life under Article 21, and there is a balance between freedom of speech and expression and right to life and your reputation. It does not give any license to anybody to attack somebody's reputation. If somebody's reputation goes in the society, that man also goes. And therefore,
Got it.
they found
Allow
a very...
me to bring in Aditi also, and I shall come back to you right after that. Aditi Tandon, there's so many ironies, I don't know where to start. The Congress party boasts of some of the biggest legal eagles of the country, and yet in a simple case of defamation, they could not, it had to reach the stage of conviction, they could not fight it at the right time. And as Sumit was saying, they could have actually gone for quashing of the FIR at the initial stage. However, the other question is also that Mr. Rahul Gandhi being immediately disqualified is also because he chose to tour that ordinance which had sought to give a window of 90 days to such people, politicians or members of the House who were convicted in any case. And today there is this question looming large over the Congress party. What is the Congress party thinking?
Very interesting question, Smita. What is the Congress party thinking? Because, of course, the moment when Mr. Rahul Gandhi had publicly called that particular ordinance a nonsense and had said that it deserves to be torn up and thrown into the dustbin. So obviously, history has its own lessons for all politicians. But be that as it may, let us for once admit that Mr. Gandhi at the time had genuine intentions of cleaning up the political system. And he had a genuine conviction that such an ordinance should not pass muster of the cabinet, and what happened we all know. But in this particular instance, Rahul Gandhi and his team of legal and political advisors obviously thought that battling it out in the court of Surat, because Mr. Gandhi personally appeared in the Surat court thrice, and yesterday when it was being pronounced that he's guilty, he was present in the court. So apparently the idea was to make it a political issue. Whereas the BJP is now already painting Mr. Gandhi as anti-other backward classes because his comments were against the entire Modi community. The Congress has started crying vendetta that you are trying to silence Mr. Gandhi because he's taking on industrialist Gautam Adani and his alleged links with the establishment of the day. But looking at the larger political perception, Smita, this is a very important issue for the BJP in an election year. 6 state elections are due. Karnataka is due anytime now. BJP is facing a tough time in Karnataka. So for both the parties now, it has become a political hot potato. How they play it up is anybody's guess. But right now, what the BJP is trying to do is...
Let me put two very specific questions, Aditi, very quickly, if I may. First of all, what if Mr. Rahul Gandhi is not eligible to go to parliament and lead his party anymore till the 2024 general elections? Has the Congress factored that possibility?
Smita, I don't think the Congress believes that the conviction will hold.
Okay.
Because as one of the panelists, Mr. Nagpal, just mentioned, the case is obviously weak. The case, I think, more than the conviction, the issue is of the political perception and how the ruling party of the day turns around this entire conviction into a political campaign. As far as the Congress is concerned, the Congress is convinced that the conviction will be stayed. You just recently mentioned Mohammad Faisal's case in Lakshadweep. That was a far more serious case in which the MP was
understood. Perhaps they are looking at the Lakshadweep MP's case and they believe that even if the lower court went for a conviction, they will have enough ground to get it, upturned in a higher court. But another query very quickly, Aditi, because I have a lot of questions for Sumit also. The BJP, particularly the BJP president, Mr. JP Nadda, has very strongly raised the issue of Rahul Gandhi trying to malign an entire OBC community. On Thursday, when the order came, we saw that various political parties, Mr. Sharad Pawar, Tejasvi Yadav, all these opposition bloc parties came out quite openly in support of Rahul Gandhi, in the sense not on the conviction, but about the government trying to, push opposition leaders into a situation. But after this OBC slogan, do you think they will be as enthusiastic to side with him?
Yeah, it's a very smart strategy on the part of the BJP. It has actually overnight come into the public domain. Mr. Nadda's tweets this morning were extremely strong. He says Rahul Gandhi has a big ego but has very small understanding, and that he's attacked all Modis, which he means the other backward classes.
Right.
So it's a very peculiar space for the Congress party to negotiate. And you also know, Smita, that the entire BJP is targeting the opposition, saying that they are coming together on issues of corruption, that the unity of the opposition is not on ideological basis, but it is on the basis of cases against them.
Yes, and as you said, BJP has played a smart strategy, you know, in order to counter the Congress charge that they are being silenced. BJP has made it into an issue of, you know, insulting the entire OBC community in the country. So let's see what smart strategy the Congress has in store for them. But Sumit Nagpal, as Aditi was also saying, let us say the speaker goes ahead and notifies the disqualification of Mr. Rahul Gandhi, but in a higher court the case you know, gets set aside and there is a fresh set of orders. Will it be a moral victory for Rahul Gandhi, or do you think that this going to court may have actually pushed him in a position from which coming out politically will be really difficult?
See, I'll not get into the politics of it, but as far as the legal position is concerned, the judgments of the Supreme Court are absolutely clear that once the disqualification has set in, there is no question that Mr. Rahul Gandhi would be getting any relief, even if the conviction is stayed by the higher court. So you can say that it was a weak case, there was nothing in the case, but at the time when you know, the trial was going on, all these defenses had to be taken. But I very strange I feel that how this entire case was handled in the trial court, because right now if you see the past, if you see how Mr. Kejriwal dealt with the defamation cases, Mr. Kejriwal was very smart when it comes to cases by Mr. Jaitley, Mr. Nitin Gadkari. Kejriwal went and apologized in every court because he
he thought he might be convicted,
he knew it very well
that
sorry. You cannot take law for granted, even if it is a small court of a magistrate. The point is that if you get conviction in such cases, it has got political implications, and that is why Mr. Kejriwal apologized in all those cases.
Got it. Sumit, one very quick query. One legal argument that the Congress leadership has been taking is that this is a relic of the colonial past, this defamation case, and they had gone to court wanting to have it, you know, done away with.
See,
and they are
Mr.
saying
Subramaniam
the BJP
Swamy,
is sticking
Subramaniam
to this
Swamy
relic.
had in fact challenged this particular section in the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court allowed this section to continue. So whether it is a relic of the past, whether it is required today or not, but the fact is that it is a law and it stands today.
So Deshratan Nigam, you know, one cannot play both ways. On the one side, you go to the Supreme Court for the flimsiest issues, but we know it is a matter of record that the Supreme Court in its wisdom had said at that time that we need to be careful about using the defamation law, but we cannot do away with it because it is also important that freedom of speech must be, you know, hemmed in with the issues of dignity of other people and the respect of other people who are being aggrieved. But on this question of doing away with the defamation, sir, do you agree that it is time to do away with this colonial relic, as the Congress says?
Well, Smriti ji, the same issue as Mr. Nagpal was pointing was raised in Subramaniam Swamy's case in Supreme Court. And if you recall, Arvind Kejriwal and Rahul Gandhi implemented themselves as a party there, and they became a part of that case. And they got the first chance because they never wanted these criminal defamation cases to be, you know, continued and tried in the court of law. But they got defeated in the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court said no, this would remain on the statute, and certainly because they found a balance between the freedom of speech and expression and a person's right to reputation. And hence a balance was seen into it, as I rightly pointed out, that your right to reputation is a part of your right to life. That is what the court said. And therefore, it has not been done away with. You know, maybe it's a colonial era law, but a lot of laws which were irrelevant have been done away by this government. If you recall, about more than 1,500 laws have been done away by this government, which were archived. And every law or an act has to be seen on its own merit. It cannot be cannot be an open-ended kind of a thing.
Point taken, sir. But,
And second,
politically, what if Mr. Rahul Gandhi or the Congress party succeed in presenting him as a victim, who is, for whom the law is being used just to box him into a corner because he is raising questions against the Modi government? Because ultimately it is the court of the people, where the future will be decided. My straight question is, how do you see it playing out in the political arena? The BJP's attack on the OBC question versus the Congress plea that this is being done only to silence their leader.
Smriti, criticism and dissent is a part of democracy, but it has to be a responsible one. You can't cross that particular boundary and say and defame the entire OBC communities and say, I'm a responsible leader and nothing should be done against you. Similar issues were raised, if you recall, in Rafale, Pegasus, demonetization, without having any merit. And where do they stand now? The Supreme Court has stamped it. They said everything is correct and done as per the constitutional provisions. When Adani issue came up and when the BBC issue came up, we should have stood with the Indian constitutional position rather than jumping the gun. There are provisions to deal with Adani issue. There are provisions to deal with BBC where the Supreme Court had already given a verdict. So far as the riots of 2002 in Gujarat is concerned, clean chit through due process of law was given to the people involved there. However, if the leaders continue to harp and do not want to, respect Supreme Court or our constitutional machineries, then it's a very sad state of affairs for the opposition party.
And that, Mr. Nigam, brings me back to the original question that we raised in this show. That is, will this verdict lead to more responsible behavior on the part of politicians, not only Mr. Rahul Gandhi? Aditi Tandon, Mr. Nigam just mentioned some of the cases where Mr. Rahul Gandhi, things did not go as they had planned. For example, the Pegasus case, of course, the Rafale matter. But we have here, and it will interest you to know, that there are at least 7 different cases in the country, including the very important National Herald case, in which Mr. Rahul Gandhi is on bail for some of the other matter. A few of them are defamation cases on the RSS, etc. Then there is the very important National Herald case. The charge being leveled against him is that he is a habitual offender. He has been leveling allegations left, right and center without applying his mind about the consequences which it may bring to him as well as his party, and therefore it is important that he must think what he says, and if he doesn't, he will have to bear the consequences.
Can I add something here?
Quickly, yes.
You would remember that when Rahul Gandhi made the statement that Supreme Court ne bhi keh diya chaukidar chor hai. And the Supreme Court was literally offended. The judges felt that how can you shoot political guns taking shelter of the Supreme Court? Yes, very much.
And judgment. Finally, he had to say sorry on that statement.
He had to say sorry. So, this is
Aditi, your take, I mean, does Mr. Gandhi become a liability for the party at times when he talks like this?
It's a very, very incisive question. Thanks for this question. What I want to say on this is that there is a very important contest going on between the BJP and the Congress. See, the Congress is trapped in the Rahul Gandhi narrative. The entire strategy of Congress party is centered around the Gandhi family. Be it the National Herald case, be it the Rafale matter, everybody is busy defending Mr. Rahul Gandhi and his actions and his remarks, which they are well within their political right to do. But, look at the BJP on the other hand. The BJP is spinning every issue against Rahul Gandhi as a matter of national interest or a matter against a certain larger community of people in the country or a matter against Indian democracy. So you looked at the narrative. One narrative which is being peddled by the Congress is that Rahul Gandhi is the victim because he is taking on the Prime Minister. On the other hand, you have the entire top BJP brass attacking Rahul Gandhi, saying he is anti-India. So the narratives are competing at a very strange level. One is anti-Gandhi, one is anti-India. Now, who will win in this entire context? You look at the political perception. The larger game is to take the whole narrative away from yourself. If Mr. Gandhi continues to make himself the story, I don't know how far is that going to cut ice with the people. He has to make people the story. Like he tried in Bharat Jodo Yatra.
But just to add to it, Now that the conviction has come in one case and things are much more complicated than they would have liked it to, do you think Mr. Gandhi might become more responsible in his statements in future?
I do not think Mr. Gandhi is going to revisit his strategy, or his political advisors are going to tell him otherwise, because I believe very firmly that the Congress thinks things are going well for them. Their entire narrative since yesterday has been that Mr. Gandhi is the real lion of India. You know, he's taking on big powers, and the entire other opposition parties are actually, not leading from the front. So in my personal political opinion, I think everything is going well for the Congress as far as the Congress thinking is concerned. Because Rahul Gandhi attended Parliament today.
Yes, on Friday. Mr. Nigam, if we follow Aditi's analysis, it seems they are going to brazen it out. So what will the government or the BJP do now?
See, government has nothing to do with it. Yes, these are political slugfest and they have to deal in the political field. However, the serious questions that arise are that nobody questions dissent and criticism, but there is a boundary. While you may criticize BJP and the Prime Minister, but you cannot be anti-India. You cannot ask external forces like US and EU to interfere in Indian democracy. And secondly, a very important question that arises is whether Mr. Rahul is in control of himself, or there are certain external forces which are controlling him. And why this doubt arises is, if you recall, during Doklam, he had a secret meeting with the Chinese ambassador. They have Congress has an MOU with the Chinese Communist Party. Rajiv Gandhi Foundation receives 1.36 crore rupees from them. They do not tell these things do not come in public domain, but secretively they are slowly come out in the press. And therefore, the perception which is going in the minds of people is he in control of himself, or there are external forces controlling him?
Right. I guess that will require a separate discussion totally. But we have really run out of time on the show, Mr. Nigam. So I'll just give the last word to Sumit Nagpal here. Sumit, it's fine that Mr. Rahul Gandhi is in a situation today. But the fact is that, from various political parties, we see politicians giving out unsavory comments, sometimes very objectionable, offensive comments from time to time. Do you think now that people have started going to court, it will lead to politicians becoming a little more responsible with their words?
I do feel that it should bring some kind of senses to politicians that their statements are very, very important. And I feel that Rahul Gandhi must see Spider-Man 1, in which Uncle Ben used to tell Peter Parker that with great power comes great responsibility.
Yes.
You are a politician, you are heading one of the largest political parties of India, and if you do not behave responsibly, there are consequences. And I can tell you that after this 2013 judgment of Lily Thomas, politicians are aware that cases like defamation can ruin their political careers. So they are becoming more serious and more sensible.
So you are saying there is, everybody knows what the law says, and politicians are expected to be responsible in what they speak. They ought to know that if they say anything which is unsavory, irresponsible, where it can lead them, and also their political parties. Thank you, Sumit Nagpal, for joining us in this discussion for the first time. We shall have you again, certainly. And I also want to thank Mr. Nigam for finding the time to join Media Scan. Thank you very much. Aditi Tandon, thank you again for explaining the situation to us. Certainly, this is not the end of the situation. It has in fact just started. So let us see how it goes in the coming days. Thank you to all of you. Viewers, Spider-Man or no Spider-Man, the fact remains that with great power comes great responsibility. And if the leaders of political parties are not going to be careful and responsible with their words, then whether somebody goes to court or not, the fact remains that the political discourse will continue to nosedive, and we have to think where that will lead to all of us. On that, it's a wrap up on Media Scan for this weekend. See you next Saturday. Namaskar.